Hello, good morning and welcome viewers. I'm at Alsbach Schloss and I will be coming back up here later on the bike on my way to the summit of the Melibocus. And the reason I'll be doing that is that it's the climb that really got me thinking about buying an e-bike in the first place. I'll explain more later. That's the hill I'm going to climb this afternoon. It's called the Melibocus. It's just behind the village I live in, and it's kind of the reason I bought the e-bike in the first place, as I will explain later. So first up, a short sharp climb from the village down there up to the edge of the woods, and from this point on it's gravel till I'm almost at the top. So as I've probably said before, so long as it's light gravel, the bike's really happy in that, as long as you've got the right tyres on it, which I have. And the paths are like this mostly all the way up the hill. Some of them are a bit rougher, but typically this is, he said as he hit a big stone, typically this is what they're like. And now I'm passing by Alsbach Schloss, which is about a quarter of the way up the hill. We'll visit there either later today or another time. Now I'm hoping, halfway up the hill, that you will be able to see the tower of Alsbach Schloss, where we've just come up from. There it is, through the trees. And as I say, we're about halfway up the hill. And I thought this would be as good a place as any to tell you about the reasons I got the e-bike in the first place. Now the story actually starts a year before I considered the bike, in early 2020, just before COVID. And I could feel something going wrong with my eyesight. And long story short, went to the optician, referred to a specialist, and was told that I had an unusual form of macular degeneration and I would lose my eyesight over the next couple of years. Bit of a shock, as you can imagine. However, in the summer of 2020, I decided to try an alternative treatment, and that treatment is called pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. So basically it's a device, this is it, and as the name suggests, it sends pulses of electromagnetic field energy through my eyes. I do it twice a day, morning and evening. That I took this treatment 2 times a day over the next 6 months. So by the end of 2020, I had found that the decline in my eyesight had stabilised and flatlined. And then in the first half of 2021, which was of course still troublesome because of COVID, my eyesight started to very slightly improve. And that's continued since then. So by the summer of 2021, I was thinking, hey, actually, things might not be as bad as the prognosis. I've still got halfway decent eyesight, and maybe I can resume cycling. There was, however, a flaw in my otherwise brilliant plan, and that was that, and you have to remember, I'm in my mid-60s by now, climbing up this hill, I was finding that my dodgy left knee, old football injury, was getting dodgier and giving me trouble afterwards. And secondly, on some of the steeper 10% plus slopes, my heart rate was getting up to an unacceptably high level, and I was having to stop and get off the bike and then resume. And so in the summer of 2021, still plagued by COVID of course, I started to think about an e-bike solution. Now, I saw plenty of e-bikes coming up here, but pretty much all of them were A, mountain bikes, and B, the big 500 watt motor jobs. And the riders of the bikes didn't seem to be getting any real exercise to me. That's not what I wanted. I wanted a solution where I was able to get a workout, but some assistance when I needed it on the steeper slopes. So I did some research, and that research led me to the Orbea again. And I concluded quite quickly, that's the bike for me. However, once again, there was a flaw in my otherwise brilliant plan. Now, the flaw in my otherwise brilliant plan was that COVID had, of course, severely mucked up the global supply chain. and the order times for e-bikes in general, in fact pretty much everything, the order times were ludicrously long. And so I thought, well, if I want a bike sooner rather than later, I need a plan B. I checked out all the bike outlets in the region, mainly the bigger ones, and I'd almost given up when I, by chance, was driving past a small bike shop out in the boonies here, and I came across this. It's a 2019 model. It's the road bike, not the gravel bike, but it did have the important stuff I needed, such as the double front rings, the hydraulic disc brakes, and the opportunity to install gravel tyres. As you can see, there's loads of clearance. So, at the summit, this is the Melibocus communication tower. I think it was built by the Americans just after the war. And we're on the viewing platform. Down in the trees there you can see Alsbach Castle, which we came up past, Alsbach Schloss, and behind that the village of Alsbach, which is where we started. 5 kilometres, just over 400 metres of vertical climbing, and not a twinge in my knee. At no point was my heart rate unacceptably high. That's what I wanted from the gain, and that's what I've got. Now that wooden ramp down there, that is a launch pad for hang gliders. And when the wind's in the right direction, you get these guys up here with the big hang gliders launching themselves over the forest and gliding around all the way down to land in the fields down below. Utter madness. So I'm not quite sure where we'll go now. Down the other side, I guess. But that was really nice compared to the first time I did it, almost 3 years ago. I'm much fitter, the knee's better, all thanks to this bike. So now we're descending down the Odenwald side of the hill, and in about 10 minutes, with a bit of luck, I shall end up at Auerbach Schloss. And with a bit more luck, I will find that its beer garden is open. I'm not sure. Thursday afternoon? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have a look anyway. Auerbach Schloss. Well, the Schloss is open, but is the beer garden? So Auerbach Schloss is one of the better preserved and rebuilt Schlosses in the area. Quite impressive. The beer garden, unfortunately, is closed today, so we shall visit another time. Well, as I said, that was a bit unfortunate that the beer garden was shut, but we'll go back another time when it's open. This is Auerbach. Round on the Bergstrasse side again. And what did we learn from today's bike ride up the Melibocus earlier? Well, I think we learned, as I said in my review, that just the same as the other reviewers, I absolutely love the thing. It's a great bike, I highly recommend it. And we also learned that the beer garden in the Auerbacher Schloss is closed on a Thursday afternoon. That's worth knowing. And here's a nice evening sun view of the hill we climbed earlier today, the Mellibocus. You can just about make out the communication towers on the top. And it's also a nice view of the range of hills that divides the Bergstrasse from the Odenwald. This side Bergstrasse, other side Odenwald. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I certainly had fun making it. And so, it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from them, and I'll maybe see you next time. A cyclist comes rushing into a vet's surgery, and in his hands he is holding a very still and very limp looking rabbit. He says to the vet, "Can you please take a look at my rabbit? I was turning into my driveway and I just clipped it. I hardly touched it, but can you take a look?" The vet takes a look at the rabbit and says, "I'm really sorry, sir, but your rabbit is dead." The guy says, No, that can't be. It's my daughter's rabbit. She'd be terribly upset. I only clipped it when I came in the drive. Can you help me?" The vet says, "Well, okay, let me see what I can do." After a couple of minutes, the door opens and a Siamese cat walks into the room. It walks up to the table where the rabbit's lying, hops up onto the table, walks up and down one side of the rabbit, sniffing, round the other side, walks up and down, sniffing, looks at the owner with big sad eyes and goes. Cat walks out of the room. Half a minute later, a black Labrador dog walks into the room, walks up to the examination table, hops up with his paws on the table, sniffs the rabbit up and down one side, goes round the other side of the table, hops up again, sniffs the rabbit up and down the other side, looks at the owner with big sad eyes and goes. Black Labrador walks out the room. After a minute, the vet comes back into the room and says, "I'm really sorry, sir, but I can now definitely confirm that your rabbit, sadly, is indeed dead. That will be €500, please, if you can pay the receptionist on your way out. Thank you very much." The guy says, €500 just to tell me my rabbit's dead? That's outrageous." The vet says, "Well, sir, if you'd just taken my word for it that the rabbit was dead, it would have been €25, but you did insist on the CAT scan and the lab report,